think it's interesting that you're hearing such different voices within the committee. That often tells you that the data is not conclusive, and therefore they're not conclusive within the
Isn't
committee.
that the most obvious takeaway from that to be, well, let's wait and see until it is? I mean, if it's not obvious, then is the risk of action instead of inaction?
Yeah, I think that's right. And there's actually been academic research looking at the data. Both short-term rates and long-term rates tend to follow economic growth rather than the other way around, right? There's a reason that they often say we're data dependent, is because historically they make a move once the data is clear, once the fog clears enough for them to make a move. And I think right now what we're seeing is that it's not, and that's what we're seeing, this divisive commentary from within the committee.
Brad, that said, one of the refrains we hear all the time, especially lately, is that the Fed is, quote, behind the curve. And the whole meaning of that is to say financial markets are telling us what's going to happen to the real economy. The Fed needs to get ahead of this now to make sure that this downturn doesn't materialize. Would you agree with that?
I don't think the Fed needs to get ahead of it, but in that sense, I think the last cut was actually an attempt to do just that. You heard Harker say, for example, that he wasn't convinced that the cut was necessary, but he went along with it to kind of normalize policy. I think the last cut was misinterpreted. I think that is intended to be, okay, now we're going to be level, and now we are going to be data dependent. And I think that's the path that Powell has to tread to talk the markets off the ledge, expecting rate cuts and back to data dependency.
Brad, the fact that they have priced in another cut or two or beyond means that the markets are wrong on this one? You don't think the Fed's, there? And if so, then doesn't Powell need tomorrow to set the record straight on that?
I don't think he does. I think Powell has certainly yielded to the markets to give the cut, but at the same time, he's been very clear that at the time, that was something that was an insurance, not an indicator of policy.